A couple of months ago I went back and started watching Xena, Warrior Princess, and the first thing I noticed was how good it was. The actors, the lighting, the story. I almost couldn't believe it was just a TV show. And I could take many other TV shows from that period like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman or Remington Steele, but for now let's stick with Xena. Because it's over the top, there are clearly a lot of effects, and it should feel fake. And it kinda does, but somehow it feels more genuine than any new content that there's on streaming services right now. And it was interesting because when I was watching it, even my father, who doesn't like this sort of fantasy stuff, looked at it and said something very interesting. How could they not understand when they shoot these new movies that is not how people experience life? And that is true. We don't move like gimbals, we don't fly like drones, and we definitely don't see reality with blurry backgrounds. Surely we can argue that we don't move like camera dollies and that Xena doesn't reflect how a real warrior would have looked back then, with perfect makeup and hair. Sometimes we can see that the rocks are made of papier-mâché and some of the props are not perfectly realistic. But at the same time, all of these elements actually exist and are grounded on reality. In our daily lives, we are used to see things passing by. When we are sitting on a train or going up in an elevator, we are used to see people with makeup on. But we surely don't see faces with digital smoothing effects on. We can accept Xena's over-the-top shooting and fake props because we know it's that kind of movie, and that it's part of the director's vision. So in the end, all the elements work together because of the suspension of disbelief. But that doesn't come from the movie itself, but from our minds, which have roots that are far more ancient than all the modern tools we have today. And even if theater was born only a couple of thousands of years ago, it's very much probable that the suspension of disbelief itself had even more ancient roots, related to the beginning evolution of humankind. Keeping this in mind, 100 years of technology are not going to make a big difference in how our brain processes reality. I don't personally think that the problem is film versus digital per se, but how the information after the shooting gets edited. I am sure that by avoiding complex color gradings and digital effects, it is possible to obtain more credible images. And I also think that digital effects can work when they are used to enhance or create something that has not its grounds in reality. As always, I'm not pointing fingers towards the professional of the industry, because I am sure that most of the time these requests come from the studios. But when it's not, we have to remember as filmmakers and directors to avoid falling into this search for perfection, by remembering that reality is not perfect either.